Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, let's look at how we can apply the CSS for an Angular project. There are three different ways to apply CSS, and first one is through the global CSS class where style.css or CSS file, and the second one is at the component level where we'll have a component name .css file or a CSS, or there is another way which is inline process, and where we can add the css inline in the html file itself. Basically this is not recommended. Now let's look at one by one with the exact css samples in the real time application point of view. So now let's look at how we can apply the css globally. So when we create an Angular project, there will be a file called styles.css. This is a major global CSS file. For suppose right now, I just created a blank application where there is nothing. So let me just add a button for this. Okay. So this is the button. So this is the button. Now let's look at how we can apply global CSS for this. So the global CSS file for Angular is styles.css. Okay. So here in this, we can say background color green and font text color white. Okay. Let's see now. If you see, this is a button. The background color, let's just push this to center. Okay. So let's push this button to center. Now it is a little bit off. Okay. So now this is a container. When you go to the global CSS class, so I'm using a flexbox, align items center, and let's justify the content to center so that it will push the button to center. So now we have a button, click me in the center, and we have a background color and the text color, and let's give some height and width as well for this button. It is too much for a button. Okay, 5 and 150. So this is the button right now. Okay, let's add a border radius of 25 pixel. So this is the button right now. Okay, so this particular CSS, the button is in the app component. Okay, and we added CSS in styles.css. Okay, this is a global file, and if you add like this, and if you add one more component or one more button within here, it will apply to all these buttons across the application, same CSS. Okay, and if you just get rid of this CSS, okay, and let's add one more component. I'm using Angular schematics. I'll say second component. What I'll do is, this is the app component. I'll add app second component here, Okay, and I'll add the same buttons in the second component. Okay, let me add a h1 with the title. So these are two different components right now. So these two buttons are from the app component and these two buttons are from the second component. Okay, if we look at the Angular injection tree, now if you see, there is an app component, and within the app component there is a second component. Okay, so within the app component, second component is there. Okay, but the CSS, if you see, same CSS is applied for all the buttons. Okay, let me just remove this one. Okay, so the same. Okay, let me add one more thing just for clarity. Okay, so if you apply or if you add a CSS in the global style class, which is style.css, whatever the CSS that you add within this, it will apply to the entire application regardless of the component. Okay, it is not specific to a component, it is it will apply across the application. Okay, so now let's move these styles. We can keep the container like this, but cut this button and let's go to app component CSS and app component CSS and second component CSS. Okay, let's override this. Let's add button here and here as well. Now in the app component CSS, I'll say I want yellowish button, and in the second component I want pink button. Okay, let's see. If you see, now main component has yellow and second component has pink. Okay, if you want to maintain the consistent styles across the application, this type of buttons or text color or text style and all these things, we have to keep it in the style.css so that it will apply to the entire application. Okay, if there are any customized styles specific to a component, keep those CSS classes within the within its specific component CSS class. Okay, so there is one more way to add CSS. Okay, for in the app component.html file, we have a button here, and its CSS class is this, and it has a background color of yellow. Okay, and now what I'll do is I'll add a inline style. This is one more style. So the third type of style is inline styles, where we can add a style background color. I'm adding red color here. Okay, if you see, red color is replaced. Okay, and if you, I already have a yellow color here. So if you notice, the inline style took the precedence over component style. Okay, this is the inline style where I added the inline background color, and for the same button we already have a pink color. Okay, sorry, not the pink, where is the, yeah, I added here background color of yellow, but if you notice, this particular background color that is added in the inline style overridden the component style. Okay, so every time when you add inline style, that will take the precedence over component style. Okay, and component style will take the precedence over the global styles. Precedence meaning significance or importance. Okay, but these inline styles are not recommended. This is not a proper coding structure. So we have to always either write a class here, okay, and you create a style sheet, create the style within the component like this. Okay, this is a better way instead of writing the inline CSS here. Okay, always avoid inline styles, that is not recommended. Okay, so now that we looked at global styles using style.css, the second one is component level style, okay, where we'll have a individual CSS file for a specific component, and this is how we can add, and this is specific to a component. And inline style will be applied only at the specific component, specific element level. Okay, this will be applied only to this button within this component, and it's not going to apply for any other thing. So this is inline style, and better not to you write inline styles. Okay, so there are other ways also to use the CSS. We can, if you don't want to write your own custom CSS, okay, for suppose this button styles, just remove it. Okay, and global style, we have a container here, even this also. If you don't want to use it, for now just let it be. Okay, if you want to use any third-party library like Bootstrap, okay, how we can use it, I'll show you. Now this is how you can add the Bootstrap to your project, Angular project. Let's run it. Okay, so not only the Bootstrap, there are different other third-party CSS libraries that we can use. Okay, Bootstrap was developed by Twitter, and it follows most of the styles from Twitter. Twitter is current X application. Okay, now Bootstrap CSS is applied to our application. If you notice what exactly it is, it updated. First one is package.json. It made an entry into package.json. Okay, if you see, this is the Bootstrap. It made an entry here. Angular.json. Okay, within this, if you scroll down, okay, right now, since I added Bootstrap, it made an entry here for its Bootstrap CSS to use when we start the application or when we run the application, when I build the application. Get rid of inline styles and component level styles and see how this is going to behave. So now, since I am using Bootstrap, we can directly use these classes, and these are the classes that we have not created, but it will be applied automatically because of the Bootstrap. So since we added Bootstrap, now let's replace this button and add Bootstrap CSS like this. Okay, this is a class that I have not added, but this is directly used from Bootstrap CSS. Let's see how this is going to render. See, now the button is changed automatically. I didn't apply any CSS class. I didn't apply any CSS for this, and I didn't write this CSS at all. But this is coming from the Bootstrap. Since I added Bootstrap, so we can directly use its features and the CSS without even writing our own CSS. If you see, even the header also changed. The styling for this navigation content US Learning Hub, this particular style also changed. So this is how you can apply CSS to Angular application. Thank you. See you in the next video.